Welcome to Hat Chat Live. We're doing it live now, and it's amazing. It's brand new, and it's
so fresh.
It's so fresh that I've forgotten how to do a podcast. It's been like, what, 3 years?
It has, and for
too long.
New listeners, there's 3 of us. This is a different voice now. Let's introduce ourselves, shall
Yes,
we?
okay.
I am Chris Trott. Hello. This is my voice.
But what do you do, Chris Trott? Tell me.
Well, I'm part of this podcast, for one. I'm also a part of a YouTube channel with the same people.
Indeed. And I'm Ross Hornby, this kind of cold, fluey sounding voice. Hopefully it's not always like this, is Ross. And I'm also part of the same thing as this guy to my left, which doesn't help for people listening.
People listening, I'm to his left. There you go. And then there's our third.
Hello, I'm a third. I'm Alex Smith. I largely do the same things as these guys when I can't help it. And I'm very excited for us to continue the great tradition and brand new exciting elements of this Hat Chat podcast.
So first up, why would we do a podcast? There's so many out there.
Yeah.
Like, who are we?
We need to be heard.
First of all,
we need to be heard.
We need to be heard. Obviously, we know that.
Well, I wrote this.
You did write this.
This is a comedy podcast from a group of 30-year-old cis white men.
Okay.
Because the world needs to hear more of our opinion.
Yeah,
you know,
there aren't enough podcasts.
There's not enough of our sort of thing out there.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're just going to discuss initially goals with this new podcast, and then we're just going to go into how this is a place for us to talk about things we find interesting and outrageous, and a slice of us that you can consume however you want, be it on the live stream, which is happening right now, or in your ears at a later date from any of good podcast services.
Indeed. I think in general this was just kind of a sideline from our main thing, which is YouTube.
What do we do, Ross, normally? What's our day job? What gets us up in the morning?
What gets me up in the morning
is a need to piss.
Yeah, sure, that
frequently.
Too.
So you like the
alarm clock, but of course, we make videos. We make gaming videos, we make vlogs, we generally just make all sorts that we can.
Don't put people off, Ross.
Which I don't want to put, exactly. I don't want to put everyone off. Anyone new listening?
Oh, great! One of them.
But we want this to be a sideline from that, so we can talk about anything really. Because I think that sometimes on YouTube, we will refrain from talking about certain subjects because you know that it's kind of polarizing, or not that we necessarily want this to be polarizing,
or it's like,
but more open, you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Without the game.
This is the sort of first attempt, as we've mentioned, at a new style of podcast for us. So we've got some rough ideas for it. Something that we're looking at the moment. What's happening in the world today? Here in Bristol, it's a bit cold, it's a bit wet. After a glorious start to April.
That kind of affects your mood, really.
It does. Well, you got sad, haven't you?
And therefore it affects us right now, delivering the best episode 1 we could deliver.
Yeah, well, our office famously doesn't have any windows, so it does have a lot of bright lights.
Do you find that's affected you a lot, not having a window in this office?
I have no idea. I haven't got anything to measure it against.
There has been times where I've been gone outside and then been like, oh god, it's been raining all day, or like, oh, it's really bright and sunny, I've missed it all.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Normally you're just kind of, in limbo here.
It's quite nice. I think we should add weather effects, maybe.
You think so?
Yeah, and maybe a screen that.
What about like a living weather, like what's that dome called? Those domes called down in
our projectors.
The Eden Project.
I like the Geo.
I want an Eden Project style setup.
Craig went there. Craig's here.
We can get some plants here. I think
Craig is our producer and live vision mixer.
Hello, Craig.
Hello.
He's also our editor for our YouTube channel.
Yep. Does a really good job.
Have you been to the Eden Project, Craig?
I've been to the Eden Project. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a shrug. Just a little shrug.
It's okay. The rainforest biome was really good.
Do they have animals in there?
Rainforest biome.
Yeah, it's good. There was actually. There's like little birds and little beetles and stuff.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's okay if you like nature.
Have you not been?
Stuff.
I've never been.
It is pretty good.
I probably
it's
would
worth going.
Yeah, you probably.
It's more than a shrug, I'd say. Even though Craig kind of just said, "Yeah, it's all right." Shrug.
Yeah.
Depends what you like.
It does. He doesn't like the environment,
nature.
Maybe it's because of the weather at the time. Well, again, going back to Bristol.
Yep.
Maybe he woke up and it was a terrible day.
Potentially.
It affected his mood and therefore his whole experience of the Eden Project.
Right. Well, I mean, like in terms of current affairs and things like that, obviously it's important that we look at the news.
Are you going to say the word?
And what was that?
The B word. Did we say the B word?
The B word?
Episode 1 of
I think maybe we shouldn't say the B word.
I'm not even sure what the B word is.
You don't?
I think one thing we should probably say is that the podcasts we do will have swearing in
Fuck
and
off.
sometimes, exactly, there it is. There's one. You didn't have much warning to move away from
quick,
that. But
yeah,
there it
yeah,
was.
I hope they closed it fast.
And
I think we
sometimes-
saw before this disclaimer.
Maybe we did. But there you go. That's the warning right there.
There's comments of a sexual nature
Exactly,
as well.
that does happen. Not that we're going to be like, we're not doing like a live audio porn.
Orgy.
I mean,
Yeah, we could.
we could do.
If it's highly requested,
I mean, that'd be novel, wouldn't it?
It would be
I'm
like
up
The
for it.
Archers, but
There you go.
sexy.
What's the best porn sounds you can make right now? Not that. Not
I could-
vocal.
Vocal?
not vocal.
I mean, like this.
I mean, that's not really. That's really hammering it.
So
That's the
slippery.
wow,
If you
hammering
hate-
down.
How have you got
in
such
a
a like?
mountain of lube?
I can't do that.
It got really.
Does that hurt?
What? No, not. Well,
So if
not
any,
really.
any listeners like me and hates these kind of sounds, I
Oh
mean,
shit!
You're
yeah.
gone.
yeah, they're gone straight away.
But to be honest, do we want people like you listening?
Absolutely
know.
not.
Yeah, there
because
we
I've
go.
got issues and I don't want them.
Well, that's like ASMR levels, and I don't think. Do we want
No.
to do an ASMR podcast?
Absolutely not,
I mean, we could
no.
always have a
Just wanna
small
talk, really.
2-minute segment where we just.
Well, let's just share our thoughts about ASMR. How about that?
Well, if you want to. Yeah.
You want to get straight in there?
Do you, have you
I
listened
don't
to
like
much?
it.
What is
You don't like it?
ASMR?
ASMR. I don't know. What's the acronym stand for?
Actually, shitty
Mouth.
micro sounds.
No, that's not it. But also, it's R at the end, not S. So I don't know where the
God,
sound
actually,
came
I
from.
genuinely don't know what it stands for.
It's
Meaning.
What does it stand for?
it's about it's an audio reflex thing, right?
Okay, it's
Tingles. Gives you tingles.
But what's the acronym? Is it an acronym?
Wow, it's actually really
Actually
difficult. Yeah, it's
stimulating
an acronym.
micro orgasms.
Okay. Autonomous sensory meridian response, which I guess is like the tingles you get, like if you
Yeah.
hear a really nice song. Or
Yeah. Which you
Um,
do get, like the hair on the back of your neck does stand up when you hear
Yeah.
like a particular sound, like the brown. No, it's not that.
Like the brown
But
sound.
like a really good song does
Yeah.
do that to me,
Yeah.
and people get good vibes from hearing
See,
other people
yeah.
make
Is that
noises.
necessarily a meridian response though? And what is that? Just you going, I like this song. It makes me feel good because it empowers.
No,
me.
it has a physical effect
Yeah,
on your body.
What
sometimes
so-
you-
music does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
you not
D-
had that before?
But
Where you
is
heard
that the
something
same as an ASMR
That's
response?
I think
don't
it
know.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
That's what
must
I'm
be.
getting at.
Yeah.
I think that is.
Meridian actually makes me think of the name of your old band. I just smacked my mic quite heavily.
Neridian.
It's
No, isn't that a
Neridian,
Pokemon?
which is a Celtic name for
Okay.
something like
It sounds like a
Death
Pokemon.
God or something like that.
I just thought we had
It's a made-up word.
Sounds-
we hadn't brought up your old band in years, and for
God
some reason
damn.
that just made me think of it.
Yeah,
How long were you in a band for?
like 3 years.
Was it 3 years? Oh my god! I didn't
On
think
and
it was
off.
that long. Man.
Craig's
like-
in a band, isn't he? Craig?
Craig.
I am in a band. Yeah.
There we go.
Thanks
None
for
of us
bringing
know
that
what he
up.
sounds like
All right,
because we didn't go to his
thank you.
gig.
Thanks, Greg. Not going to say what their name.
Do you like our band?
No, none of us went to it.
I
So
actually
recently,
don't know.
Craig, who's done a lot of work for us, been very good to us, always
Very good.
putting in extra time, always
he's a great
going the
guy.
extra mile.
Yeah.
His band had a gig in Bristol recently, and none of us went to it.
I had a
Not
dentist,
one.
to be
Trott
fair.
had a dentist
24-hour
all
appointment.
evening. Ross was at a different gig.
I had tickets for somewhere else. I was busy. I mean, what can I do? I bought those tickets months ago.
and I
So-
simply didn't go. So that's the kind of
Actively.
relationship. I actively avoided it.
You chose not to.
Thing is, though, we went to this thing not long ago, the rally driver thing. We told him to go to Bristol and do a gig, and that we would go to it, and then
And then he did.
he did, and we didn't.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Craig.
So
Yeah, well.
sorry,
Um,
Craig.
so we're
man.
liars, and that's going to be a theme in this podcast. We are liars.
Craig's
Yeah,
crying.
and we have weird
I think
opinions.
He is crying. I can see some tears. Oh,
Oh,
god damn! he's
son of a
doing it.
bitch.
Hamming it up a bit.
Oh man! Now he's god.
Wow!
Just try and describe what he's wearing right
Fetal
there.
position.
He's wearing cut-offs,
That's weird.
jean shorts.
I
Why are
think
you
he's a
wearing
never
those?
nude.
Craig?
Jorts, I think
He's a
they're
never
called.
nude.
You got some new shoes there, Craig.
Oh man!
Hell, they are nice.
Well, yeah, I've
Oh,
been wearing them the
they're
last
paying
couple of
him too
weeks.
much.
Oh,
Yeah,
didn't
we
notice.
need, we
Didn't
need to
notice.
look at how much we're paying that guy. All right, anyway, this is the Hat Chat podcast, not the Craig podcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So-
Craig.
Yeah, don't take over.
You
Craig.
spoke to me.
yeah, same old excuse.
Way back when is this?
So,
like
Ross,
that?
you
Well
picked
played.
out some choice news stories for us
Yeah.
to muse over.
So I think Hat Chat existed before. If anyone didn't know, for those who do know, thank you very much for returning. We did a segment which was the funny news segment, which I think was very popular. Exactly, Trott.
Yeah.
You can hear Trott wheezing
Wow.
away. He's laughing.
Just
Yeah.
the thought of it, the happy memories we had.
And there's so much funny news now that I
Sometimes
think that
there's
we
not.
should definitely. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's
the world of
so bad that
2019 is a crazy, crazy place, isn't it? Like,
a lot has changed. Yeah, in the 3 years, but there's a lot of random ass stories, and I found quite a few. Just literally just flicking
just
through.
Googling. What have you gone for? What's your favourite?
So I didn't go through each one in detail, but I saw the headline and it caught me, and that's always the point, right? So, I mean, for example, there's one here. I asked my partner to wee on me, and now she thinks I'm disgusting.
Wheel.
Wee
on me.
Piss.
I thought you meant
Urinate.
wheel as in like drive over me or something.
Wheel on me.
Wheel me.
I mean, I'm not equally surprising. Both of them are very random.
Don't know. Also, what wheel would you choose?
Would you go head first down or crotch first and up? Or across?
Across.
I feel across would be instant death.
Oh, squashing all your organs.
Yeah.
But if you're wheeling like crotch to face.
Yeah, well, you got the hips to take the
face
weight.
of your head might
Then it would
crush.
pivot onto your sternum, wouldn't it?
Wait, what is?
I think it's death either way.
What
Depends on the
what are you
vehicle.
wheeling?
Yeah, is it just
Is it a
wheelbarrow?
car or is it just a barrow? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a rental Boris bike.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Because
fine.
they're quite heavy.
Yeah.
I think I could probably go across the mid potentially.
I think we'd be fine with bikes, wouldn't we? I think
Probably break a rib or so.
I have seen a video where somebody got like ran over by a car and they just got up and walked away.
Yeah, but that's probably
Limped a bit.
adrenaline, and then they probably died from internal bleeding.
Well, don't ruin it for me.
afterwards.
I didn't see the end of the video. I mean, it cuts off too soon.
we can hope, can't we?
Yeah.
We can hope. Apart from that,
But they
I hope they're alive.
took a hit, and I thought, wow, that's fair enough. So
Yeah,
they survived.
you do amazing things on adrenaline.
it's actually touched on something. Little thought nugget just exploded in my
Wow.
brain.
That's what happens.
That chat's all about thought.
That's an
nuggets.
aneurysm.
Yeah, thought nugget. I like to call them. So you were talking about Boris bikes, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? And so
I brought it up, yeah.
So Boris bikes, if you're not from the UK, Boris bikes are essentially an incentive that started in London quite a few years ago, where you could essentially short-term rent these bikes, which are dotted around the city, and if you need to get somewhere more quickly and don't want to use a car,
eco-friendly.
yeah, exactly. You can rent these for like super low cost, for like £1, like $1 essentially, and get from A to B, and then you lock the bike up, leave it there, and then somebody else can come along and use it. Bristol has recently had something happen to it.
Wow.
You mean the yo bikes?
Yeah.
you're getting on
So
yo
I was like,
bikes,
that's a weird sentence. So the yo, something's happened.
The bikes have come.
So
They've
we
arrived.
have our own version of Boris Bikes, which I don't think is necessarily government incentivized. I think it's actually a private company.
It's a private company.
Yeah,
For
so
profit, yeah.
they're called Yo Bikes. Plug. Don't mean to plug them. They're death traps by and large.
I smashed my knee on one of them, man. It was like
Kids love to destroy them as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
For some reason, Boris
hate
bikes are
bikes.
treated with some level of respect.
It's because the
Yeah.
people of London are
they
probably
don't?
a bit
I mean,
more.
well, maybe.
From what I've seen.
They seem tougher. The Yo Bikes seem to fall apart a
Also,
lot.
I see a lot of them in bushes, upside down, like all stacks of them just knocked over.
How many do you think are in the Bristol rivers?
I don't know. People just don't care about
Loads.
bikes anymore. Why is that?
I don't know.
In
Because they're a
Amsterdam,
dime a
they're
dozen. They're literally littering
Wow,
the place.
yeah, I guess so.
Also, there's stuff like, I don't own that, and no one really owns that apart from the company that put them there. I'm going to trash it.
I think so. Yeah, there's
Because
something about destroying
I'm a
somebody else's
disorderly
property,
person.
which is maybe satisfying.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to stop, but I can't help myself.
So it's you.
Yeah, I just hate yellow bikes.
You're the reason Smith
just
didn't have
hate-
brakes one day.
Yeah.
God damn it! Why do I live up a hill?
Well, I clocked you coming. There was only one bike there, and I
Yeah.
cut the brakes instantly.
Wild
Oh,
card.
wow. I knew he was going to come.
It's
and,
easy to do.
It's
Like,
interesting
well,
you
very visible.
cut the brakes.
interesting you touched on the idea that because the people don't feel like they own them.
This is another
Yeah.
thought nugget.
It's another thought.
It's another-
a thought nugget.
Oh, God, it's another
Because people don't own them,
Yeah.
right? That you're saying that they're more likely to break them or misuse them,
Or
right?
not care about.
them anywhere near as much.
Yeah.
Because they don't have. Right. Okay. So, socialism.
Right.
Christ.
Sure.
Segueing into
Broad
socialism
strokes
very,
of
very
socialism.
briefly.
Yeah.
So I think I've told you this story before about somebody I used to know who was a salesman back in Russia. But like this was just past, so about 5 years after Soviet Russia fell apart, which was very, very communist. And he said that one of the big problems they have there is that because the socialist state of mind is that you all contribute to the state and then the state supports you, right? So everyone earns, let's say everyone earns 20 grand a year, and you all you pay taxes, and that's it. You get 20 grand a year, and there's public toilets, and there's yo bikes all over the bloody place, right? The problem that creates is because nobody feels like they own anything, yet they also feel like they're entitled to everything because of
Right,
how
yeah.
socialism works, is things would just fall into disrepair. And things like hotel windows were nailed shut because if they weren't, people would steal the window frames for their own
Oh,
houses.
right,
Because what right does a person have to, when property is not seen as such a thing that you work for and generate and build up, what right does a person have to any in particular thing? Like, what if
Isn't
you...
that communism in general as well? Like,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the sense that, like, you know, why do you have to work hard if somebody else isn't going to?
Exactly.
Isn't that the idea?
Exactly. Well, the
Well,
idea
it
is
is.
the state supports everybody to
Right.
live. You contribute together,
Mm-hmm.
work together to create a good quality of life for every single person without any peaks and troughs. And that's actually becoming more and more relevant to us because at the moment, and I'm not going to say the B word, which I've later
knows it now.
We don't need to say the B word
because
we don't need to.
We're looking at we've got Labour and we've got the Conservatives in the UK, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And Jeremy Corbyn is what many people call sort of a neo-socialist in that he likes the idea of creating a world where more people are the same. Equality, which is great for the people that don't have much, and really good because we definitely live in a society where we have people who are unbelievably rich.
Get these little peaks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Where like the billionaires
far above everybody else
have more money than the
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the 1%er thing, that's been banding around. So really, like, what do you guys think would be your perfect Sunday?
I like to be at the peak.
Sunday. Wow, that's really when that's turned.
What I'm getting at is, if we're faced with a choice between either a society that is about creating a good standard of life for everyone,
right?
But potentially taking away some of the elements of
some of your liberties,
potentially, and some of the advantages of endeavor, or some of the advantages of your lifestyle in general. So, say for example, we've all had an advantage in that we've been raised quite nicely. Yeah, we've had access to a decent education.
Cis white males.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's cis white male thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Privileged.
And even what we do, our company, the videos we make, the things we do, we have a lot of advantages. And in a society where we're trying to make a good standard of living for everybody, we would potentially be standing to lose out. Now, whether or not you quantify that as losing out, because you may think, wow, I earn too much anyway, like tax the hell out of me. I want homeless people off the streets. I want people to be better.
I think it comes down to lifestyle, doesn't it? Because obviously, if you live lavishly, then you're bound to lose a lot more.
It depends on your current lifestyle.
Yeah, if you're quite a modest person, live in a reasonable sized flat.
I live on the street personally.
But so you're saying that if you did have what you would think as a lavish life, you feel that you wouldn't want the socialism model, or you wouldn't.
I feel like you'd be more likely to be upset with the fact that the things that you become accustomed to are then being taken away.
But those things would potentially be taken away from some. No, it's not even about a lavish life. It's about like us. We are in a higher tax bracket potentially. What I'm getting at is, it's not just about the 1% being taxed to hell to help everyone else. It's about everybody being taxed quite heavily. Yeah. Now, I personally feel like I would love to have less homeless people, less serious drug abuse on the streets of Bristol. I think that'd be great. I think that there's lots of social elements. Because I think it creates a better environment for everybody.
For you to walk through.
Why you think it's better that they're not?
Is it for you to walk to work and just?
Well, it's more for their life. Surely you want them to have a better life, right? That's the main thing.
Yeah, when you see them on the street, nice thing to say.
You want to think that,
but ultimately,
absolutely. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that selfish argument, which is what you're getting at, where you're saying like,
I'm being devil's advocate here. It's not the opinions I hold.
No. I think that is a very, very commonly held opinion. It's
to clean the streets.
Yeah, I would pay more tax if I could trust in local government and government, which is a huge issue at the moment, like trusting that they're doing the right things with your money, making the right decisions with your votes. I would pay more tax if they could say to us, like, look, we're going to get these people back into work, help them out, sort their life out. And then, yes, I wouldn't have to walk to work every day and see a guy reaching into a bin and drinking the last dregs of a vodka bowl, which I saw. A man throwing up in front of my feet on the way to work 2 weeks ago.
You told us about this. So it was just
stacking up,
rummaging through the bins.
Because ultimately, money is often used to improve your quality of life, isn't it? That's what you generally use it for. You eat better, you live better, you have nice things, you experience new things, you get to travel, all those things, right? So I think that is the merit of that element. However,
there's also a cap. There has to be a cap, right?
Well, at a certain point, the more you go down the socialist sort of ideas of, people don't need to earn excessive amounts of money or lots of money. We need to make sure that everybody has the same living standard before anything else. I think it's difficult to not somehow hamper endeavor and personal merit, because, like I said, back when I was talking about the Russia thing, it does have an effect where if capitalism obviously causes people to want to make lots of money to a sickening level, to the point where it's wrong as a human being, as a part of the human experience. If you get too damn rich, it messes you up. Let's look at a lot of these people. like, I'm not going to say any particular names, but if you think about people who've made a lot of money in the last sort of 10 years, people that we've interacted with, we know.
But is that due to
Craig's
them?
one of them.
Craig's one of them.
Is
Look
that
at
his
due
new
to them earning
shoes.
that amount of money in a
New
short
shoes.
space of
Bloody
time?
new shoes.
Because obviously, like getting a huge windfall all of a sudden changes your life instantly. Like there was a dude who won the lottery, and
the Welsh guy.
Was it the Welsh? Is it Welsh?
He's
guy?
like, yeah, it is going to change
like,
me.
who only eats like pies now, and just like
Oh, that's a different guy.
Yeah, the other guy
yeah.
who like his wife left him, his family kind of have abandoned him because he's apparently an arsehole.
He orders 6 pasties a day or something.
Yeah,
like that, right?
he's had.
Oh my god.
yeah. Apparently, he literally orders like shitloads of pasties, and obviously that's the way he wants to live his life, whatever. But he won like 149 million pounds.
That's a lot of money.
Insane amount of money to change your life. But why? People obviously don't want to hang out with him just because of his money. He's obviously it's poisoned him in some way.
Too. Yeah.
It's the pasties.
But I don't know if that's just like a superstitious thing, because people say that winning the lottery and stuff, you tend to be unlucky because of it after you've won. As weird as that sounds.
Absolutely bollocks.
I feel like,
but like,
how?
Because they don't know how to manage their money because they've not come from that
I see what
place.
you mean.
I feel like there's a real psychological element to having meaning and purpose in your life, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And when that's taken away from you and your entire culture is based around succeeding and therefore succeeding is money, when you've been given the end game and unlock God mode, it's like, here's all the money that you could have potentially worked your entire life not to even have like a 100th of.
Yeah.
You get it all of a sudden.
It's like putting cheats on in the game.
It's like, like, what's my purpose now? Like, I've got everything I could want. I'm not happy. There's something wrong with me.
Unless you are one of those people, and there are people like it, who would instantly go, right, I've got this whole plan of what I'm doing with this money. I've always dreamt of traveling the world. Things like that.
Well, yeah, you would think that they would pair them up with somebody who would at least help them, like a financial advisor or something. So saying, oh look, you can
that's
put
the
it in
logical
trust
step,
and help your family out, and
spend that money on
But they
others
probably-
to help you.
The people that have those issues probably don't want that help, do they? Like, no, I want my pasties.
Yeah,
But there was this Welsh guy recently, which was really great. He won like a huge amount of lottery, and he's like, "Oh, people say, oh, this isn't going to change me and stuff." It's like, bugger that, it is going to change me. And I loved that. I was like, brilliant. Yes, you understand that this is a crazy occurrence. Like, go for it. Do some great things with it. He quits his job, wants to take his partner abroad or traveling and all that sort of stuff. I think ultimately money is a mechanism to allow you to experience things as a human being, right? Because at the end of the day, if you die and you've got $100 million in the bank,
I'm glad you said if, though, because there's potential for immortality.
well, and I mean, why not talk about that? We've heard now that it's a potential for people to be born who are being born at the moment to live for up to 200 years.
What?
And
200?
it's because they're sleeping well. That's why.
Is it?
Yeah. So I was listening to a
200?
podcast recently
I don't believe that.
with a sleep science expert. I can't remember his name, Matthew something. And there's a podcast on Spotify. It's called like Why We Sleep. He's done a book, and sleep's really important. Turns out, no, like really, like way more than we consider. It not only repairs the body, but it also kind of prepares everything. Kind of flushes out your RAM, your locally accessed memory.
It's like a defrag.
Isn't too much sleep damaging as well?
Oh,
so you have to have there's a fine balance between.
There's a balance to it for
you
sure.
can't just go, all right, I'm gonna fucking top myself up and sleep for 24 hours.
When
you'll be like, oh, I hate my life, my head.
But there's absolutely that. There's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
But also, he was talking about the different stages of sleep. Like REM, obviously, everyone knows about. Cause great
band.
band.
Shiny happy people.
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
But they're uncovering like new information about that. What do you think REM is?
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah. What do you think?
So
that
for
state,
viewers,
what do you think that state of sleep is?
I imagine it could be a potential, like the way I understand sleep, or the things I've read about it, is that it's about a series of flushing chemicals and renewing chemicals within the brain's biochemistry, right? So different stages of sleep allow you to
Is he close?
produce.
Sorry, you're just like.
I don't know the answers fully.
Or reduce serotonin in the brain, because obviously
all those processes happen.
Right.
But what they're starting to think REM does is you have a state of deep sleep before REM, which is actually where this whole flushing and like repairing and neuron solidifying of memories and that kind of thing happens. REM is kind of the experimental phase where it's pairing up old memories with new ones and figuring out solutions. So what it's doing is it's doing like abstract thought, essentially. So you got a new problem in your life, a new stress or a new objective, that kind of thing. You couldn't figure out in the daytime. You've learned something new and your brain needs to process it. You fall asleep to process it, essentially. You compare all that information with and attach it to your neurons, and then it goes through all your other memories to figure out, like, I remember this thing from the past. Could this work to help solve this solution? And then it like creates a fucking crazy dream, essentially, of all the possible like outcomes.
Weird. What? That's very
how do they
interesting.
know that? How do they measure that type of like?
I haven't got that far on the
like this
podcast.
thing?
Honestly.
I'm working my way through it, but yeah, that's. I mean, it sounds interesting.
This is actually a big challenge. Is measuring not just brain activity, but the kinds of chemistry that's going on in the brain. So, for example, like a large amount of antidepressants work on the idea that serotonin in the brain is lacking, or is somehow the receptors in the brain that use the hormone serotonin aren't working properly. And so most antidepressants at the moment, what they do is they hold serotonin in the brain for longer.
Soak your brain.
Okay.
Yeah, so that way it keeps your mood more elevated, because the idea is that some people with depression, not everybody, it's not all caused by the same thing, but a lot of people with depression have a deficiency of serotonin in their brain, and so that's what they do. However, this is very much a broad stroke treatment, if you know what I mean. It's just like, I guess they've got like serotonin seems to be related to mood regulation and that sort of stuff. Oh, this drug seems to increase or increase retention of serotonin. But the thing is, according to my GP at least, there's no active way to measure active levels of serotonin in the brain. So we're not going, right, okay, take that drug. Okay, right, yeah, serotonin levels have gone from 100 microliters.
Your brain is nicely saturated right
exactly.
now.
So whilst we can measure electrical things going on in the brain, like activity and things like that, it's very difficult to measure chemistry actively. So yeah, that's a huge part of sleep. Also, obviously, cannabis is much more widely used in the world now, especially with places like North America and like legalizing use of, well, in some states. Cannabis is said to stop REM sleep from occurring at all.
That's pretty bad.
So
why is that?
So something that has been studied, again, this is me just pulling like loose knowledge as usual.
It's always important. I think we do try to tug our knowledge from
spurious.
I mean, Venus is a gas giant.
We have famously Venus is. I mean, we haven't been there. Have you? No. So yeah. So weed can actually apparently stop REM sleep from occurring. Yes, or inhibit it from occurring, which is interesting because some people use certain elements of medical marijuana as a sleep aid, especially people who are suffering from things.
That's interesting.
Or CBD.
No. Specifically, well, that is one element of it. That's one of the active ingredients. But in general, medical marijuana in places like California and places where it's been legal for a long time, when they're treating things like people who are going, who have cancer or going through chemotherapy and regular things might interact badly with the treatments they're having, they've prescribed marijuana as a painkiller, an anti-inflammatory, and a sleeping aid. But if it then later works, because this is something that I'm quite interested in, is we are at a point of a lot of change at the moment. I think this is one of the largest periods of change that's been in my life for everything, not just things like recreational marijuana, but we are legalizing a new form of like what alcohol is. What would you say alcohol is? Like a stress reliever,
consumer drug, isn't it?
A recreational drug. So we're legalizing a whole new one. And whilst a lot of studies say it's great, and I think by and large it probably is, there are some elements to it that we don't understand. So let's say...
There's not been enough time, is there, really?
Exactly.
For this stuff to be tested over years and years.
So like REM, for example, if it's
crucial part
REM,
of your sleep, apparently.
What impact is that going to have in 60 years' time? Does that mean that people are going to be more likely to develop Alzheimer's because for some reason REM may be flushing whatever plaques build up from Alzheimer's in the neurons?
Yeah. Like, apparently Alzheimer's and dementia is also higher chance of it happening if you don't get the sleep that you need as well.
Yeah.
So it could well be related in some way. Also, I know that alcohol is bad for sleep, even though people do use it as a sleep aid. And on the surface, it seems like I got really drunk and I slept right through and I woke up. There's a lot of moments where you do wake in your sleep and you don't remember it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so the quality of your sleep is
dehydrate your brain.
You're constantly waking up these micro wakes for like 1 or 2 seconds and your brain doesn't register it, store it as a memory. So therefore these are happening throughout the night because of alcohol and the effects that alcohol has on your body. You're waking up a lot. You're not getting into the proper states of sleep as well. So you wake up feeling crap because of the alcohol. Alcohol didn't help you get to sleep. It may have initially, but at the same time it reduces your quality of your sleep for sure. That's a scientific
Well, it's a very
Fact.
interesting little tidbit.
Sleep talk. Get your sleep.
Yeah.
Because
Get your
I swear they introduced in some schools that they could start a little bit later because they were valuing sleep more.
And they're seeing results from that. And also, like...
God, do you remember school? Like, waking up was such a chore, and obviously it was... You felt like shit. Yeah. The first lecture would always be awful.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's just down to me just not sleeping at the right times. You know, obviously that's down to the individual.
But also, like you say, it is down to the individual.
It's good to encourage that, though, at least.
And people need sleep at different times. Yeah. So, like, literally, there is, like, you know, people called night owls who are more awake and more active in the evening.
That's a genetic thing.
Does that make a difference, though? Because you know how they say that, you're going to get cancer if you don't sleep between these hours. But it's like, if you work at different times, or, you know, is it really based on night and day?
I was listening about this night owl thing.
Yeah, go for that. And
day people. It's a genetic thing, because apparently in hunter-gatherer times, when you're in tribes, evolutionary reasons for sleeping at staggered times make sense, because there's always someone that could be active at that time in the morning. So apparently people used to sleep piled together, so they're all just literally on each other. Therefore, as a group, you're kind of all looking after the children and stuff like that. And therefore, the people that have the day gene would sleep at the right times, and then the night owls would kind of be more alert at those times. And you kind of all work together.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
So segueing on to what you were asking about, is there a right or a wrong time to sleep? I was reading something last year about people doing night shifts, right? So like Trott says, there's evidence to suggest now that there are like different genetic predispositions to different times of wakefulness. However, sunlight and the daytime and vitamin D and all those things are also really important.
And temperature.
So there was a study done on people working night shifts, right? And they looked at their body chemistry and their brain chemistry after a night shift versus a normal person. And they noticed that people who work night shifts have higher levels of certain things. So I think cortisol was one of them, which is a stress hormone, which gets released in the body. And what that does is essentially shorten a person's life. By being more stressed, you know, you're more likely. So cortisol does things like the stress hormone suppresses the action of the immune system. So the more stressed you are, the more likely you are to get ill because of a hormone produced in your brain, which is cortisol, which suppresses that said immune system. Now, they looked at night shift workers in general, their life expectancy, their health, all those sort of things, and they surmised that you are something crazy, like almost twice as likely to die younger than you are as a person not working night shifts, which is massive because there are jobs that are more dangerous in the world, right? And there are jobs that are less dangerous. However, when there are overt dangers involved, some people get something called danger pay, right? So your pay is increased because you accept that there are elements of risk
reward
in what you're doing. So what I was reading, this article was saying, should we be paying people working night shifts and people working in situations which are suboptimal for their health? We need to be looking at paying them more because night shift workers are needed in many industries.
Night shift workers often do get paid a higher wage.
They do. It's like
a little bit more.
But
it's not like, you know, you're twice as likely to die younger than somebody who isn't. Like, that's a big deal. That's years of your life.
Like, without that scientific backing, none of these businesses are going to be, unless it becomes policy.
Well, maybe Hat Chat can put those rights to wrong. Sorry, wait, other way around. Wrong to right.
Let's make those rights wrong.
We'll contact some scientists and we'll get them involved.
Yeah.
It would be good to get like a scientist or like some. I mean,
I'd love to do a sleep study.
A sleep clinic.
Yeah.
So you do like a 24-hour sleep. It monitors what's wrong with you. And,
I think that would be quite interesting actually.
It's crucial. Yeah.
We actually have some tests that we're going to be doing. I think next week we'll do a video about that. But we actually have some allergy and tolerance tests that have been sent to us.
We got them here.
What's the brand again? Life Lab Testing.
Life Lab Testing.
So
sponsored.
It's not sponsored, but we did get in contact with them to say, hey, Trott was thinking about getting an intolerance test. Can we have someone? We'll do a video about it.
It's interesting.
So we're going to be finding out about. So you do a blood test and. You send it off, and they'll check it against a bunch of known allergens.
This isn't the same as that DNA thing.
It's not a DNA sequence.
It's not a DNA sequencer.
They're worried about those
selling data.
Yeah,
you could still sell the data and store the data from that. Absolutely,
but they'll just learn what you're allergic to, right?
Yeah, but it's blood, so they could do a full spectrum analysis of it.
Fuckers.
But then what's going to happen? They're going to be able to track you, I suppose. Like,
I guess so, yeah.
privacy is something that's not going to exist in about 30 years.
Well,
time.
yeah, I mean, it's already, the current situation. Everyone's putting their stuff online without even thinking about it, and,
And it's actually their name to it via Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is...
And putting their, like, newborns and their kids and stuff, taking pictures of them, putting them on their Facebook as well without it.
I think it's good to have a name, your real name online. But also realize the consequences of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, society, I feel, is bad at being anonymous, and I feel like it's bad.
Yeah, but how do you live life offline in this world now?
Well, I feel like
in what sense?
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Like I think to do that, and you're right, you need to be conscious of the fact that if it's like our like grandparents' generation, like they seem to want technology. Like my nan, especially, she's got Sky, she's got the internet, she's got an iPad.
And you're going in blind to these things.
Absolutely, and she had a mobile phone. So in comparison, my grandma is completely old school. She's got a Rolodex. There's no internet in her house. She's got a Rolodex for numbers and a house phone, and that is it in her house.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah. Versus my nan, who is in all sorts of trouble all the time because she has access to this thing that she hasn't grown up knowing how to use. But if you say to them, like, well, don't use it, don't step away from it. Living life offline is really difficult, especially for anyone other than our grandparents' generation.
That's all we've known.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're doing, though, doesn't it? Like, what do you mean? I mean, in terms of getting a job, in terms of, like,
to maintain your privacy,
setting events and stuff.
How do you do it? How do you keep things...
Well, offline?
Yeah, how do you live offline now? Like, think about it. Like
primitive technology style?
Not primitive technology, but just...
Is it the FOMO effect? Because... everybody else is doing it and not going offline like you are, and they're using Facebook or whatnot to stay in contact with each other.
Exactly.
You have this fear of missing out or not being connected or not accessing the information that everybody else has access to.
Exactly. Like somebody deletes Facebook.
Are you limiting yourself as a result of just choosing to stay off the grid?
It's either an in or an out thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, friends of mine quit Facebook.
Should we collectively
a few years
go
ago.
offline? Because that's going to affect our podcast.
I mean, that will affect our entire business, Trott. It'll affect our lives. There's so much of what we do is online.
So we can't really do it.
Quite a few of my friends quit Facebook as well, just because it is shit.
I don't know about you, but... okay.
I don't use it either. I've got it only because you have to use it to log into other things. I've literally got it as a tool rather than actually...
And it's
post
still
on it.
Your entire history of Facebook's still on there.
Yeah.
How do you... I haven't... my friends who did delete Facebook, I have less contact with them now.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know about you. Like,
I have WhatsApp groups with them instead.
Yeah.
But then that's still owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
So, like, you're still
it's
in
all the
that
same
trap.
thing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, anything online is essentially at risk of being owned already by someone else.
And I think you need to accept that as well. Like, you need to accept that
anything
could
you
be
put
abused.
online, could be used against you.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like your Miranda rights. You should be read your Miranda, like anything you say will be used against you in a court of law. Like that is, everyone is subscribing to that online.
And I feel like if you're going to be doing online as a society and everyone getting along with it, you do have to be held accountable for what you do online. I don't think that it's safe to have an anonymous factor like Reddit, for example.
Oh, right, yeah.
The vitriol that you see on there, like Instagram, that kind of people that can hide behind, literally put on a balaclava, run into someone, do something stupid, and face no repercussions for it, is essentially what's happening online all the time.
How would you solve that?
By essentially putting a name to everything.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which is essentially where we're going to anyway.
Well, having chips in our hands and then that's associated with us and that's associated with all these accounts I've used and stuff. Is that the kind of future that you think could happen?
This is the thing. To regulate
it's not far off, is it?
To regulate it, obviously, is an extreme method. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
I'm not expecting you to solve the privacy issue here.
I would like to hear the resolution.
I feel like people should be held accountable for their actions, but also be given the freedom to do so. Like, you shouldn't be told what not and to post online. Do what you like, but also
know that it's going to affect you.
Yeah, it could help.
Bear in mind the things you do have consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
kill someone if you want.
It's a learning curve,
know that
isn't it?
we're going to find you, and get your fingerprints and blood, and you're going to be going to jail. Like anything you post online that's illegal, we're going to know who that is. You can't hide behind a VPN anymore.
And I think that's fine. I think that argument is fine. However, saying, like, when you said, like, kill someone if you want to, but no, there's going to be repercussions, I think that is a brilliant way to be. Hear me out, because you can act in any way that you want. You're free to act in how you want, but if you want to be part of this society, there are rules and there are repercussions if you break those rules, right? So, like, the problem comes with, well, people don't want people to be able to do anything. Like, I think we can all agree we don't want people with the capability in this country, especially where we don't have as many guns as some other countries. We don't want people to be able to go, wander into an Argos and shoot it up. You know, we don't want to be able to do that.
Well, sure, but Trott's point was that obviously somebody is always attached to someone, so they'll be more careful about what they say and what they do online because it's always going to come back to them.
But the
whereas right now,
is,
like you could make a random account, you could say horrible shit to somebody, you could say slanderous, racist stuff, and you'll be fine because you can delete that account, move away, and you've done that. And,
the point I'm trying to make is
obviously it's not extreme as murder, which is.
But I think individuals should be free to do whatever they want as long as they understand the consequences. The problem is when you actually apply that concept of you should be free to do what you want, but you have to accept its consequences. People will go, well, we don't want people to die, we don't want people to be killing people, so we're going to prevent it. And then what you have there is then. You have to encroach on somebody's liberties to be able to regulate it.
Yeah.
So just to prevent somebody, because there's a chance that this person might end up shooting up an Argos, we have to do these things, and that's
how far does that go?
That's the crux of it, exactly. How far does it go? And that is ultimately how much freedom are we willing to sacrifice to feel safe?
Because if you're born with a genetic defect, say, that predisposes you to not feeling the repercussions of your actions or having a mental problem, say, like a serial murderer would, like the prevention there is what? Do you...
Well, normally it's down to...
detecting it, and then what do you do about it?
Social and health services. Try to treat it.
Treat prevention.
Yeah, and try and create an environment for that person.
You can never really police that, though, can you? Like you say, you can't really police someone just suddenly going,
you could look at their genetics.
Everyone needs a genetic check.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, but...
So then that's the regulation, isn't it?
Because what if in that world where we had genetic checks, we could also go, oh, you've actually got this intolerance. All right, we're going to splice some stuff into your genes to fix that.
Biomods.
Like designer babies.
Yeah.
You know, it's possible.
Would you then get like... I mean, this is probably cyberpunk in general.
Yeah.
But would you get people that are actively born into the world in the black market who are like purposefully removed from the society's like initial checks, that kind of thing? So they're living off the grid.
People created to be a certain thing, like
absolutely.
A military where they're just all superhuman.
What kind of world are we creating here?
And this is it. And all
there's so many ethics involved. Like, you know, they kicked up a fuss about, was it Doris or Dora the sheep, whatever it is?
The clone sheep. Yeah.
You know, it has consequences, I guess, but in terms of treating illnesses before a child's born, so I think that's a good idea. Like, you know, you can't really
define an illness.
Well, something that ruins their quality of life, I guess.
Reduces their quality of life.
Yeah.
Where does it stop, though?
Yeah.
Because then there's a blurred line of ableism and things like that.
Or it'd be cosmetic versus medical. So, for example, when I was a kid, I went to the dentist and they were like, right, I mean, it looks like your teeth are going to overcrowd at the bottom. You can either have 2 years of braces, 2 years of braces, or you can not. And it will crowd at the bottom, but it means you won't have braces in. And me being at college at the time, I was like, I don't really want braces. I'm becoming like a young adult.
Train tracks, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's drawing a line there, though.
Exactly. So the dentist said, at the moment, it's kind of a cosmetic change.
Right. So they don't know.
It's not going to affect you eating and stuff, is it?
No, but the truth is now I've got these molars which are fucked at the back, which if they try and pull them out now will probably make my jaw go numb because it's because it's in the nerve. Ooh. So but the beauty of that was it was down to human error. You know, it was down to human choice. If we, like Trott says, start changing our genetic base, which I think we should do, because I would love to not be allergic to dogs, cats, hay fever, all these other things. And I'd love to have eyesight that didn't require glasses. But like you say, where do you stop? And let's say, for example, you could have, you know, the Tesla car, the experience of customizing everything about your child.
That's the thing, you can then...
If being blonde or being dark-haired is in vogue in that period of time, so let's say, like, I want to be a blonde bombshell, I want a blonde bombshell of a daughter, because,
that's
you know...
the thing. You're making decisions for
absolutely.
I guess,
But natural selection
then
hasn't been a factor.
Then it wouldn't. Natural selection would be removed completely because then you can just
natural selection already isn't a
alter.
Yeah, we
modern medicine means that natural selection no longer acts on the human race in any particular way, because in order for natural selection to work, things need to die out at quite a rapid rate.
Right.
Modern medicine means that most of the Western world, people don't die because of natural selection. They usually die because of social or economic factors.
Right.
So, for example, like, you were born into a poor family, or you were born into an area with not very many jobs, so you don't have much access to good quality food, and things like that. I don't think natural selection is really acting on the human species as much as it may have. And,
we're not being hunted down by cheetahs or anything.
Exactly.
No.
You could probably outrun one, though, I reckon.
I reckon I could outrun
You're
one.
pretty quick with some
pretty
good
nimble.
shoes.
Good shoes like Craig, yeah.
Yeah.
Craig's.
What do you think about all this, Craig?
Shoes.
Do you want to design a baby so it doesn't look like you?
When I'm ready to
Procreate.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
will it come out of me?
Potentially.
Well, that's the thing. Would they then be like, you know what, it's the dude's turn. He now has to give birth
seahorsing it.
and just shoot it out of his ass.
Commonly known as seahorsing.
It's only fair. It's only fair.
Yeah.
It's your
Like,
turn now because they
It's
made
true, like, how far do you go with gender? Like,
yeah.
I don't want a womb. I want everyone to be able to procreate. Is that the fairness there? But at the same time, you also get your own choice. So
The challenges are we are realizing, like technology and science and society are realizing that there are these quite soon up and coming things that we're going to have to tackle. We have the technology, but the social and sort of personal elements of it,
The ethics of it in general.
the ethics are just nowhere near as developed. We cannot develop ethics as quickly as we can develop science, right? So like you say about gender, right? I imagine if you look at how gender and gender equality is going now, I think eventually we will get to a point where gender is much less of a deal. So, for example, it wouldn't be like.
What do you mean?
I think that, like, hopefully, I hope that we will get to a point
won't
in
be
society.
categories as much.
Not necessarily categories, but any form of gender will be treated equally and treated as every day. You know, it won't be unusual. It won't be strange.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But those type of things take
a long time
to
which
kind of develop.
science doesn't necessarily do. So, say for example, we could within our lifetimes create a person that has both genders. I know that
or hermaphrodite style.
Sorry, not both genders. Multiple genders or multiple sexes. I'm not saying that there are only two genders. Just to highlight that. It was, but
he's on his yo bike.
Yeah. Fucking hell, it doesn't go backwards.
No brakes.
There's no brakes. No, but what I'm saying is, I feel like human existence and human identity will change beyond what we have right now.
Yeah.
But that is going to come about a lot later than our ability to influence human identity and human gender scientifically. And is that going to cause just a fucking explosion of ethical crisis?
I mean, there's going to be a lot more, like riots and crazy ass. You know, people can't agree on certain things.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. You can't get huge amounts of people to agree on such kind of diverse and complex topics.
Yeah,
it's just. I mean, you can see now today's politics prove that it's a learning curve and it takes a long time. And no one's right or wrong because everything's that complex.
Yeah,
too many variables. Yeah.
It's so complicated.
What we need
scary.
is an expert.
Well,
which is why we've got Craig.
But Craig is trained.
How are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix the relentless march of science versus the ethical and social elements of the human consciousness? Quick one.
Jesus.
Just a quick one.
Quite a question. I'll just close my eyes and cry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Close.
Bury your head, the ostrich method. Fair enough.
Well, I mean that's very, very serious.
I feel like we covered that and we put it to
bed.
Put it to bed.
Put to bed.
Dust that one off.
Solved.
I mean, there is funny news. Should I read a funny news thing just to lighten things up?
Did this come from funny news?
No, I don't think.
No, it did. It came from the weeing on me thing. Somehow.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And then it went to wheels.
Yeah.
And then
it was a word association.
Boris bikes, then bikes, then socialism.
Jesus, we went there.
Well,
that was all funny news.
There's an article here which I put on here, which is where we're going to have to now buy a porn pass, apparently, soon.
In the UK?
Where the government's going to make you buy a porn pass to be able to access...
but Tumblr's free.
Dirty content. No.
Not anymore.
Tumblr's gone. There's
no porn on there.
R.I.P.
Would you get that pass? I guess porn... I mean, that porn could apply to anything...
Just need a mirror, Ross.
X-rated, really, yeah. Just... Or you just need a mirror.
Just need a mirror.
Oh. But,
nice.
But, like... I mean, that's quite extreme, isn't it? But then... Or is it a thing...
It'd be impossible.
Safeguarding?
How the hell are you going to implement that?
Well, they've already done it with, like, IPs. In general, so if you sign up to a new IP, you have to like agree and specifically request. Oh, can I watch porn on this?
But how
which
is
means
that gonna,
half of Reddit's gone.
But how is that going to work? Because like an image on Imgur can be porn.
Exactly.
A WhatsApp message can be porn. That's end-to-end encrypted. Yeah. Like.
I don't know
that's
how they're
impossible
place it.
to
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
porn pass.
Porn pass.
I reckon it's going to be like those sites that they've blacklisted.
It's something they tattoo on your forehead. I've got a porn pass.
Yeah, an Oyster card.
Fuck you. I've got one.
Oh, there's my porn pass.
Yeah,
But
porn pass codes.
so the porn pass thing, right?
Yeah.
So you got a porn pass tattooed across your head. I think eventually
barcode.
society will start to own it. You know, as it
Yeah,
start to
exactly,
own
I
it,
think
like
so, yeah.
like it's almost like pride now. You
Yeah.
know, like 1950s, 1940s, people didn't want people to know they were gay. Now it's like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking gay. Like I'm loving it. Like maybe that will happen with Pornhub, you know, or porn pass. It's like, yeah, I got a porn pass and a great
Yeah,
tattoo.
I think it's more of an issue for.
Sorry, I
older
keep hitting the
people,
table.
isn't it?
Yeah. Ba-dum. Sorry, I'm just very animated about the idea of a porn pass.
Yeah, I mean, they're threatening to fine websites that don't use this block 250 grand.
But say,
That's a lot. That's a
who
massive
is that?
thing.
That's a government thing, right? Or,
Yeah.
So people will just vote that government out of parliament.
Potentially.
Bam, fuck you
Yeah.
and your porn pass charges.
But it'd be hard for them to flip that back around. I imagine a lot of them will kind of go, oh, it's, bringing more money in for us as well. And, all you have to do is request it. And then the prudes are going to be like, well, I don't have a porn pass. I don't need one.
I think if a government
Jacking
infringes
off
on
in a
your
cupboard.
liberties...
I know what they're like.
jack off to pictures of £10 notes.
My favourite puppy.
The Queen is my porn.
Mirror! The thing is, right, so that will...
I think it's policing too much.
You know about the whole boiling a frog in a vat?
No,
Right,
well.
yeah.
You know,
Yes.
the analogy.
I always go back to that one.
If you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump straight out or die,
Sure.
like straight away, right? However, if you put the frog in lukewarm water and then gradually heat it up,
They'll boil
the
alive.
frog will boil itself alive. Like
If
it's
you
the
put
same
a porn
thing
pass in
with
boiling water,
well, it's the same thing with
It'll be all
law
rubbery,
making,
though.
right? So
I
with
don't know what you're getting at.
so with law,
It's not going to taste good. It's not going to taste good. He's annoyed.
You couldn't use
this
that
frog
pass.
tastes all rubbery. No. What I'm saying is it's the same thing with lawmaking and legislation. So say, for example, they just came out with that next week. Like, bam, you're going to have to spend 250 grand on a porn pass now. People will be up in arms.
Jumping away.
However, next year they said, if you want to use porn, you're going to have to register on this site just to let us know. And then
Increasing the severity.
10 years time, okay, it's a £500
Yeah.
administration fee now
I
to
think it was
get your
something big,
porn
and
pass.
then
People don't notice, and we just need to be mindful.
Slips through
Exactly.
the net.
And that's why we need to reevaluate our ideas of freedoms and liberties and what we want to do and how harmful something is. Because a lot of the time, especially in the UK, it's all about reducing harm to people. It's like, well, that doesn't work. Making drugs illegal doesn't work. Like making, just saying like, oh, this guy's a heroin user. Stick him in prison for like 10 weeks, like homeless guy.
He's not going to learn from that and be like, oh, I don't want heroin anymore.
Oh, he's got an £8,000 fine. Oh, he can't pay it because he hasn't got any means of making money. And all we've done is pay for 10 weeks worth of prison time for him.
Yeah.
Like it's totally pointless.
Going back to porn though.
Yeah, back to
Because I'm a
porn.
big fan of porn.
Sure.
I'm not. The actual culture and the industry is pretty bad actually for the people involved in it.
Yeah. But it depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what company
It's
you work
bad
for.
for anyone who isn't an absolute A-lister. If you look at people like Tara Patrick and stuff like that.
And also a lot of people
Great.
that go into porn go through the similar method, just terrible lives.
How did you
and that
get
kind of-
into it?
So I got into it for very good reasons. Just
I've
'cause
watched a lot of your stuff,
I
it's
saw
great.
myself in the mirror and
Yeah.
realised I had potential. Either way, I think porn is a byproduct of a societal restriction.
Yeah.
So there's a human need for sex and watching it and involving yourself in it.
Yeah.
And it's become taboo in our society to even see a nipple on screen.
Well, I mean, I'll ask you a question,
Therefore-
Trott, a
go
personal
on.
question. Have you ever stood there and watched a couple just making love in front of you?
Yeah.
Just hammering away? You have stood there and watched people having sex
I do
in
it.
front of you?
Like
all the
in the
time.
same
Not
room.
yourself, not with the mirror. Remove the mirror from the
Move
room.
into that swingers club near you.
Yeah, well, there is a swingers club not too far away.
Yeah.
I
feel
haven't
like-
heard from them in a while. Normally you can hear their music.
So
It's fucking
what
loud.
point were you making then?
Well, that's like you say. It's that taboo that you've not stood there and seen it yourself. So it's like kind of window into that world of like
And it's enjoying it when you don't have to actively involve yourself in it
yeah.
as well.
Exhausting,
and also
isn't
some
it?
people just
Pile
enjoy
drivers.
watching other people do it better or differently than you.
Yeah.
Better, I mean differently.
He's better than
better.
Better and differently.
That's not a real dick. It's not.
That's huge.
God.
But either way, I feel like I don't know why they're attacking porn so hard in the UK.
People are.
It's
Well,
weird.
because they had a
The
ban
shit
on
they-
like specific types of porn, didn't they? So there was like a ban on like choke. Any porn involving choking was banned.
Torture, which I can kind of
torture.
understand.
Things that cause harm and obviously could influence harm. But then
Oh, as long as they're
where does that
consenting.
end?
As long as they have informed consent and they're not under duress.
But there's rape
People
porn
should be
as well.
allowed to
That's
do
what they were
anything.
banning, which kind of makes sense.
But
I
what
guess,
if the
simulated
person-
rape.
So what if the person involved? Oh, okay, maybe you need to say to your audience there, like, this isn't
Yeah.
real. You shouldn't do this.
By the way,
Maybe.
she's in on it. Yeah, I'm up for
Disclaimers.
this.
So
Right,
why,
okay.
Why do you know that rape
Set
is
the scene.
bad?
Well, because you're hurting someone else.
Yeah, but where did you learn that?
From
where's this going?
I mean, I don't know.
So what
it's horrified face. Well, I mean,
what I'm getting at is the need for disclosure to an audience, right? So, so say for example, like you said, I told you this was going to get
to hurt people. Raping is hurting someone with your own.
But you know that let's presume, and we need a way to make sure that this is actually true. Let's presume that both of those people are consenting, informed adults, yeah, and they both enjoy that sort of theatre. I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't watch it myself, but let's just look at the scientific, the construction behind it, societal construction behind it. We just need to make sure that the people watching it know that that is a taboo or that is an unrealistic thing. Because apart from that, the only real harm there is if people see that and they don't appreciate that you shouldn't do that, that this is a kink or a niche, right? And then there's no harm there because you've got two consenting adults, like almost a theatre of sorts, right? Then you have the audience watching it knowing that this isn't real and you shouldn't do this to the average person in the street. However, the only issue in there is if the audience doesn't know that. And we deal with that a lot in our channel, right? We know, so the audience is going, oh, you should have told us about this. You should have disclaimed about this. Us personally, I don't think any of us would watch that kind of porn and go, this
we haven't made porn. Just to clarify for anyone who doesn't know who we are. We don't make porn.
Not involved in the porn industry. What are you
specifically referring to? You mean the Azana band thing we did, which was like one
of those things,
a trick.
Disclaiming.
I'm talking about disclaiming, and I'm talking about how the challenge with disclaiming and is that not everybody has the same perspective or level of knowledge. Personally, me, anything I see, I question. Always. I think you should always do that. Question everything.
Yeah, it's a good point you make that, because there was this thing on TV.
That everyone else does, though.
Why not? And this is what I said about where did you learn that was bad?
It's the thing
because I think education.
Education, yes.
And your upbringing.
Yes.
So,
the thing is also, the other side of it is, why would we make it?
But I think we're talking about the demographic, at least, or the target audience, right?
Yeah.
So there's
I'm
this
talking
program
about the risks and the hazards and the dangers.
Of course, but it harks back to who is it for, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously for somebody who enjoys that stuff.
And why are you encouraging it?
But then, is it influencing them to do it themselves, or is it satisfying that need so they don't do it themselves? It's a very tricky balance. But I saw this program the other day.
There is an impressionable bracket of people that also, take this.
Why should society?
Is there enough of people acting upon it that means
because
it's worth?
Why should my liberties? Say I am a person who enjoys it. I'm not, but why should my liberties be infringed if there is a group of a section of society which doesn't understand that it's not real or doesn't?
Because of the risk outweighs your liberty.
Does it? Who says
I don't
that?
know,
Who decides
that?
Just
saying
well, it depends, because if the stats show that more people are watching this and then
committing,
I don't know how
crimes.
They're measuring that.
Something bad
going off and then going
to
do it themselves.
Yeah.
If that's higher than,
you
if it's affecting anyone at all, is it worth having that?
How much?
Available?
Yeah. How much is it going to affect you not having it? Basically.
What if I said? Right, you've landed on a planet. Right?
I feel like I've now got a logical fact in my mind that you enjoy torture porn.
Yeah. No, I don't. Well, no, but it's a sliding scale.
Because you're defending it.
So going back to the frog, right?
Yeah.
The frog in the boiling water. It's a sliding scale. A lot more people probably enjoy spanking than they do torture porn, right? But what's the difference? It's part of a scale. Okay, so slapping someone causes a small amount of pain. It can cause a nice reaction in the body, like physically, being slapped or hit. Can cause it.
Picture him spanking himself.
It's all I can think of.
This is nice.
What I'm trying to say is
harder.
Where's the line? I mean,
where's the line? So say you landed on a planet and you're in your little space capsule. You come down, bam, you're on your own. Somebody says if you go outside, there are dangerous things out there, but there's also a whole world out there, right? There's a whole world, but there's also dangerous things. There's a 50% chance you might not make it to 100, right? So because of the dangerous things on this planet, if you stay inside your capsule, there's no chance of you dying. However, you're inside your capsule. You don't get to explore. You don't get to experience. How many people would take life inside a capsule, a life of safety, versus life outside the capsule, exploring this planet?
We don't know.
Why should either of those things influence each other?
I think the topic was more about
because those capsules are not absolutely separate entities. We're sharing a capsule, and some people are opening the fucking door.
Yeah.
And making other people walk out.
So majority rule, right? Majority rule would be needed.
Yes.
So
if the first porno you ever watched, if the first porno you ever watched was a rape porno, and then you're like, oh, this is really good, I'm gonna watch loads of these, and that's all you that's your knowledge.
Sorry for the triggering word.
Yeah, apologies. Oh God, this is the first hatchet. This is so
dark. It's very dark.
If that's the first thing that you learn, or that's the thing that you kind of crave and fantasize about, is that dangerous? Could it be? I mean, because it could be that person may now think, God, I really want to do that because that's what I've learned from this thing. And that looks really interesting to me. And it's happening now with people watching porn anyway.
Yeah, because of lack of sexual education, I think, in general anyway. Again, this could come down to education. It's like knowing what's the scale of things. Yeah. And a lot of kids see porn before they even actively engage in anything sexual, and more often than not they do, and then that's all they have to go on.
So did we. I'm not going to use the age-old argument of, well, I'm fine and it happened to me. I know that doesn't hold water.
I guess so. I think when we were growing up, literally scraps of newspaper in the forest, maybe.
Well, no, the old Bluetooth video on your Sony Ericsson.
Those were like those extreme ones. They weren't like erotic. Yeah. It's just like, oh, she's firing a tennis ball out of her pussy. It's like, what? Oh my God, she is.
Well, we didn't think that all
I'm going to send this to you.
We didn't think all porn was fired out with tennis balls being fired out. Like,
no, it wasn't as extreme as it is now. You have the
options
of anything.
How much freedom do we have to give away to make ourselves safe? Like, I just don't think you're forming...
There needs to be a balance.
You're not forming whole human beings by regulating things. I just don't think you are. I think, yes, it is dangerous. I think, yes, you will still have bad things happening. But I think, overall, the human race would be better off if we are more free to do things that don't harm other people. I will say, I'm not
I think it's just that's a lot of trust on them being educated properly.
Yes, absolutely. No, absolutely. Education is key. Absolutely key. Like, and I think it all comes down to that. So, you know,
but education also has a factor of this is right, this is wrong, and we don't know for sure what those things are.
We have to do the best of a set.
Education is essentially setting a load of guidelines down, and those guidelines are dictated by
government,
global policy. So
and governments. So it's literally governments.
People aren't making those decisions for you and impressioning them on you.
They're moulding you.
Yeah. So that's what you're asking for.
And they can't even organise fucking leaving the EU. Well, and they're shaping every single individual.
Don't say the B word.
I didn't say it. I'm just.
But with that topic in mind, there's this thing which I saw the other day, which is on Channel 4, which is where mums make porn they'd be happy for their kids to watch.
That sounds awesome.
Which does it sound awesome?
I'd love to watch that.
Man, well, yeah, it's on Channel 4 now. But,
so be bizarrely so pedestrian, hopefully.
The way that they react to porn is mostly disgust. They're like, oh, I can't believe this is available. I can't believe my kid can watch this. And normally it's a fairly regular scene that they're reacting to.
Come on, that's just missionary.
But they're not the demographic. They're not the ones that porn is targeted for. But anyway, yeah, they ended up making a porno which was very bland. You only see bits of it because it was on Channel 4, but I think they still had it fairly explicit. But it was still very bland and kind of like very much just like, well, you know, we'll kiss and
ask consent. Is that because you're desensitized for all this torture porn you've been watching?
But then all the torture porn.
The mums themselves act in the porn.
No. They were there though. They were there like film.
I felt like, yeah, you know, if you're gonna complain about it and say I'm gonna make a better porn, be the star involved.
Get involved, yeah.
Come on.
Also, I bet you could find a bunch more mums out there who'd be like, yeah, porn's fucking great. I mean, I'm not that good.
Of course,
but let's watch it.
I mean, some of them
doesn't make a fun Channel 4
it anyway.
No, it doesn't.
That's fine. But
polarizing viewpoint.
Yeah, some of them were very like dead against it, going, oh, it needs to be, you know, it needs to be love, and you know, let's show the condom going on, make sure that's a thing. And
that's insane.
Obviously, you know,
if we were to make
target,
if we were to make our own porno, how do you think that would go?
What with
not with us involved?
I was going to say, are you
directing?
Are we okay? Well, now we're going to the territory of preference, I guess. Now you're asking
mega gushers.
Okay.
So just
GoPro cams on heads.
Yeah. No.
POV.
GoPro cams on shaft.
On shaft.
So you just get the.
Holy shit.
Oh, you're talking
a GoPro cock ring.
Man gushing, mega gushers.
Oh, it could be like
all about the quantity.
Yeah, GoPro cock ring. It's on there.
Yeah,
you got the GoPro's mounted upwards. It's on wide.
GoPro's are quite a large camera to go for, I think, because you can get much smaller.
That is quite a large one. We can see
these are very male penis focused porns.
Yeah, yeah, but you got to start. You're starting at the base.
Yeah,
it was just important.
Well, start with what you know. Start with what you know.
With a GoPro on the dick, that's going to take up the whole frame.
I mean, well, yeah, you've got this barrel.
I love it.
Jesus.
Time to classical music.
Gushing, yeah.
So you want like a Las Vegas style fan?
Just fountains of jizz.
Wow, all filmed on
And
GoPros.
if they want, other consenting adults being covered in it.
Yep. Did you want this, love? Sure. Don't mind GoPro. Fucking hell.
Gushers.
Gushers. Okay, well, it would be called Gushers. Yeah.
I mean, there's a type of popular candy in America called Gushers, which could cause some issues.
Or
Wow,
sponsor.
Or a sponsor.
Maybe. This podcast
It
isn't
could be
sponsored. I mean, goddamn.
Gushers.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get a sponsor on this podcast.
Probably not.
I mean, this is the first.
That's
one.
why we have Patreon.
Which is a good segue to say that this podcast is fully funded by Patreon, which is patreon.com/hatfilms.
Nice.
Thought I'd get that in there.
It's a good time to do it.
Because I think we've almost done it for an hour. I don't know how long.
Shall we take a couple of questions from your live stream audience? See
I
if there's
think so.
anything
Yeah.
decent?
Any
I don't know.
weird why did you say that?
Yeah, because
This is actually what's right. Is
Anything good, Craig?
did you find anything, Craig, at all?
I mean, most of the chat have just been as if they're really nervous about where you're about to go with this.
Right.
You're about to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
banned.
That's
Yeah.
Of course. We are
Just
streaming.
chatting.
I did see someone ask if you have any tips for interview questions because they got an interview tomorrow.
Interview questions.
What's that
That's
mean,
the
interview?
only one I've seen.
Are they interviewing someone else? Or
I
are
don't know.
being
They didn't make it clear if
being
they were
interviewed,
being
I
interviewed
imagine.
or if they were asking the questions.
okay,
It
well,
sounded
maybe
like
we
they were
need-
asking the questions.
Don't
should
bring
probably
up torture porn.
Maybe we should get questions sent to the email.
Yeah.
Should we use the old email, hat-films.com?
I don't know if that works.
It does. It does.
Does?
I think it does, yeah.
Then send it there.
What was it again?
hatchat@hat-films.com. Is
Wonderful.
that too much of a
So,
mouthful?
if you've got any good talking points, anything you've heard in this podcast, you maybe want to be addressed in a next podcast,
It could be Hat Daddy
we
style.
might read them. It
Yeah.
can be Hat Daddy style if you need some advice or something.
What's Hat Daddies?
So Hat Daddies was something we did on our channel a while back, which was a bit like an agony aunt thing.
Yeah.
So people would send us their problems, and we'd come up with ludicrous
Kinda-
solutions.
Yeah.
Some were super serious, some were quite
Tongue-in-cheek.
middle of the road, some
Yeah.
were kind of very jovial and
Over the
joking,
top.
which is fun. But yeah, feel free to email us that stuff, and maybe we'll do something in the next one. One thing we wanted to do was we didn't have any jingles in this one.
You may have heard the strange rock intro that I made.
Strange, there's some gold, Trott.
Yeah, it's quite dark though. But Hat Chat's had a jovial theme in the past, and
Yeah.
it could have any other type of genre attached to
Exactly.
it. So, yeah.
I think we should invite our audience to send in jingles if they want, or
Yes.
what we've called fingles, fan jingles,
Fingles.
or fangles, jingles.
Yeah, it can be anywhere between like 5
Fingles,
seconds
fingles,
to 30 seconds to a minute, but we might not play it all.
Yeah.
If
Keep it
you're
short and sharp.
at all musically talented, even if you're not, even if it's just singing into your phone, sing about Hat Chat.
Could be our jingle for an episode.
It could be. So
Yeah.
send us
Do it.
over to what email?
hatchat@hat-films.com.
Yeah,
Great.
just attach the MP3 there. MP3, not WAV. Let's not
Yeah.
go
Come on, yeah.
really big files.
MP3.
Come on. Keep it.
Other things. So we'll put this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all of the popular places, and it's funded by Patreon. So that's all the main
Yeah,
information.
just choose the Hat Chat supporter, sustainer, we called it.
Yeah, sustainer.
Keep it alive.
Keep the dream alive.
Indeed.
Keep it going. And also there's if you enjoy our other stuff, which is YouTube, there's a tier which supports everything.
Yeah, and also this is going to be on the new Hat Chat YouTube channel, which seemed to make sense to have its own place because I think
Yeah.
in our extra channel there's all sorts of live stream stuff.
If you want to put faces to voices as well, we've got a nice camera rig set up here.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Exactly.
Craig did a great job helping us out.
So,
But yeah,
I think,
be sure to subscribe to this podcast on whatever service you're using. And if you're interested in us and never heard of us before, our YouTube channel is Hat Films. Just stick it into your YouTube search bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, thanks for listening.
Thanks. We don't even have an outro.
No, we don't have an outro. We're going in naked, which
If you
It's
want to
topical.
make an outro too, we'll do that too.
Bum, bum,
bum
bum, bum,
Maybe we can give you a summary.
Is this
bum, bum, bum.
bum bum?
Thanks for watching Hat
Chat.
Thanks for listening.
We talked about porn.
and politics.
Nice.
Episode 1.
It's a weird clap thing,
That's
isn't
not
it?
really a jingle.
There we go.
Craig didn't even join in.
Great, let's do it. We've done
Nailed
it.
it. We
See you in
nailed
the
it.
next one next Thursday. See ya.